My name is Rebecca Barron, and I am working towards a Bachelor's in Science in the Global Resource Systems program, and I'm currently attending the University of British Columbia.
My name is Han Zhang. I did my education at McGill University. I studied electrical engineering, and later on I did my master's also in electrical engineering at the University of British Columbia.
So my name is Pulkit Agarwal, and I study economics at the University of British Columbia.
My name is Daniel Frankel. I'm currently a family physician in Vancouver.
What made me really enthusiastic about working with the Simbi Foundation and being a researcher with them was over the years studying electrical engineering, studying engineering in general, I never really had a way or an outlet to really use that knowledge to create an impact.
I had been passionate about development economics for some time, and I was really looking to get some field experience and try to convert all the economics that I was learning in class into something actionable and something that can help communities and people who might be excluded from private markets.
I'd always wanted to get involved in some sort of international medical aid.
I became really interested in what the Simbi Foundation was working towards and the impact and scope that the research was that they were doing, just because of how much of an impact they have, especially on students in other countries.
So my research was focused on the solar-powered classroom aspect, where I designed the electrical distribution system and the electrical load profile of the classroom. And I was really able to leverage my electrical engineering background with creating a real-world impact with it. Uganda is probably one of the best places to utilize solar energy because of how much sunlight they get. In Uganda, typically you won't go more than 2 days without sunlight, so we could really lower the cost of building the system and creating the maximum amount of impact. Through my research, I discovered that the village had almost 100% cell phone penetration, and through this, I saw that we had an opportunity to leverage our battery storage system to create a cell phone charging service, which would generate revenue for the local community.
So a gender-based analysis is working with women in the community to understand the obstacles and barriers that girls face in order to receive a complete and full education. One of the challenges that we found in the field was that a lot of girls were not receiving the proper access to sanitary pads, and because of this, it really impeded their education, and then they couldn't travel or go to school. And in the end, a lot of girls would have to then stay home and miss at least a week of school, and then this would mean that they felt as if they were falling behind in the curriculum, and so they would lose that same drive and motivation that they originally had to receive an education, and this would impact them long term. So in order to really keep a girl in school and to make sure that she's receiving a proper education, it's extremely important that she has access to those sanitary pads and other reproductive health literacy opportunities out there.
So I was researching with the Simbi Foundation to assess the impact of the reading while listening technology on student fluency. The way we do this is through a randomized control trial, or an RCT, which effectively means collecting data on your outcome variable, which in our case is fluency, before the intervention, which in our case is using Simbi technology, and then once after the students have used the Simbi technology for a few weeks.
I think that lots of doctors will go over to different places and provide medical aid, but their trips are only a finite period of time. So what's the best way to keep it so that you can actually have people treating themselves and being able to treat their own community? And the best way of doing that is basically going back to the core principles of the Simbi Foundation, which is empowerment through education. We got to talking and we thought it'd be an interesting idea to start night courses for the village health workers and educating them and enhancing their knowledge so they can have more empowerment in the field when they're treating patients.
So after months of research and finally being on the ground in Uganda, I discovered so many different aspects about my field that I didn't really know prior to going in. Working with the local technicians on the solar power classroom was quite a learning experience for me to understand their challenges that they face, as well as some of the unique solutions that they have to solve those problems. Everything's not as it is when you're researching it, and different people have different uses for technology that you may not know until you actually experience it firsthand in their local setting.
Having the chance to speak to just these exceptional families and these girls who were trying to receive an education was just so inspiring and eye-opening. And it really just changed my perspective on how hardworking and determined a lot of these refugees are. I think one specific memory would have to be reading with all the children at Twajiji Primary School. We all gathered together in a circle and we read passages together, and that was just so much fun.
One of the most memorable experiences of researching in the field was the constant reevaluation of our study methodology. Specifically, I remember this one point where we were discussing the design in the field, and Adam Friedland, the founder of the Simbi Foundation, and I would just crouch down in the middle of the school on the playground and just discussing the sample size, which is not something I had expected. I had always expected to talk about the sample size while looking at a computer doing some calculations. But when you're in the field, you don't have the freedom to always sit behind a computer and have all the variables. So you got to think on your feet, and that's what excited me the most.
So what really excites me about those opportunities moving forward is the fact that we can use existing infrastructure that's already been built at Twajiji Primary School and use that infrastructure to develop almost like a night school in order to help the South Sudanese refugees so that they have some sort of certificate or diploma for when they go back to South Sudan, and they can have easier access to finding jobs.
Seeing that classroom being built in person really connected the dots and opened my eyes to what the potentials are for solar power.
If you're interested in researching
With the Simbi Foundation,
Please visit
The Think Tank page on our website.